How's the in Israel? That's the first question.
My dad had an Israeli girlfriend at one point in his life. I mean, should I call my dad? Hey, Dad, how's it going? You're on the podcast right now, and I know you had an Israeli girlfriend at one point. Would you be willing to comment on the lovemaking?
This is culture at its finest.
Oh, come along, we're ready to roam. With Donnie and Chaps, you'll feel right at home. From the hills to the seas, to the strange and bizarre, drop a pin takes you places both near and far.
Hey, how are you? Today on Drop a Pin, we have a very special guest, Paul Bissonnette. What's up, buddy?
Honored to be on this podcast. Thank you so much for having me, gentlemen.
I mean, you're a very busy man. We are honored that you found time in your schedule to be here.
Yeah, you go from Wayne Gretzky to us.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, everybody's the great one in their own right? We got the great hiker here. We got the great army man here.
Yeah.
Was it the Army, the Navy?
Marines.
The Marines. Okay, is that even more like hardcore?
I would say yes.
I would say, yeah. The only thing more hardcore than Marine is Green Beret, Navy SEAL. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends. Like I did reconnaissance, so I like to say that we're on par with like Green Berets and probably not Green Berets, but Rangers for sure.
Okay.
So what I can appreciate about that is one of the reasons I like hiking so much is kind of that mental grind, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, as much as it is enjoyable, but like when you get to the top, you feel very accomplished, right?
And one of the best ways to burn calories. Like if you're hiking with like a 40, 50 pound bag, you're going to burn through calories. Burn them.
Yeah.
So when you were in the Marines, did you guys have to do some hardcore like trips where you would go hike into the forest and like camp out and stuff?
Yeah, like I did Jungle Warfare Training Center in Okinawa, Japan, where you go up and down the different jungles with like big packs and you gotta eat bugs. And I've gone to like Operation Cobra Gold where you eat the blood of a Habusaki snake.
Do you know how to make a fire?
Yeah.
When you say like, so basically you don't have food and the bugs are the only source of any type of food?
Yeah, you have food at those training spots, but you they like the Jungle Warfare teaches you what you can eat. Like if you're out there, a lot of it is, but like you said, it's the mental perseverance aspect of knowing I could do hard shit when the time comes. Like, so you work yourself to exhaustion. So when if you're like fighting, that's not the first time that you've gotten that tired that you know how to push through.
No shit.
Now the reason...
Well, I was going to ask, do you get high like from bugs like you would have if you did shrooms on a hike?
No, that's been my
just straight protein.
No,
okay,
yeah.
just straight protein.
Yeah, I don't think there are any psychedelic bugs out there.
But if there are, I'm willing to put one up the nostril.
They do have psychedelic toads, which I would be willing to try at some point.
Okay, that's going to be on our next mission. I know we're here to talk about our first mission that was Tennessee.
Yeah, the reason we're talking about hiking is that me and Biz have always been friendly while working at Barstool Sports, but we've never hung out for long periods of time. But that changed a couple months ago, where we went on a hiking trip to Tennessee, the great Smoky Mountains.
Oh, yeah.
Very close to Gatlinburg. And we filmed the pilot of a new show. I will be announcing the title of that show for the first time on this pod. Drum roll, please. Peekin' with Don and Biz.
Okay.
I love the name. You guys thought of it. Was it you or Corey?
I think it was me.
It's also the first time I've heard of a double entendre is the name of it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we were calling the show Peekin' the whole weekend, and then the last day he was like, "Wait, is that like a drug reference, man?" He had no idea. But I got to give Biz credit for the show coming together, because I just got a text from him out of the blue, and it was like, "Why didn't you actually climb to the top of Everest?" Because he knew I went to base camp. He was wondering why I didn't complete it. And I had to explain to him that it's very expensive, and I think I was in no shape to climb it, even if I wanted to.
Well, and like you're not shy for like to like indulge in the adventures, and that's how I kind of discovered you watching your videos. I think maybe even before Barstool, I'd seen a few of your videos, and then obviously you became associated with Barstool, and you'd been all over the world, whether it was like China or all these other crazy places you've hiked. And I took a liking to hiking when I started dating my ex-girlfriend, and she really got me into it. I felt like it was a great mental release and an escape from our everyday reality, being on our phones too much.
Yeah.
And I just figured it'd be an awesome collaboration, and the humor that you provide is also like, it doesn't feel like work at all. We're just there, a couple buddies hanging out and enjoying a special journey. And every time we're gonna pick a new spot and you know, indulge on whatever it is we want to indulge on.
Yeah, the concept behind the show is that each episode will choose a different hike somewhere in the U.S. and then maybe eventually abroad and document the entire thing. And
I would like to build it up to eventually us doing Everest, but from my understanding, and I've been reading some stuff on it, there's like not a great survival rate of people who try to get to the top of Everest, right?
No, I think like more people survive than not. I don't know. I don't.
But anytime you're like, oh, like even you just saying that, like, oh, more people survive than not. That's not exactly like, hey, we're just going to go on some friendly hike here. It's like
Percentage-wise, right? Like,
percentage-wise, what,
yeah.
20% of people who try to get to the top? 10%?
No, I would say maybe like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Die?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
But
That's
still,
a risk I'm
I
willing
mean,
to
that's a
take.
lot more than if you're going to go up a hill in the Adirondacks. You know, like there's a significant chance like that you're going to have maybe not die, but have some sort of issue.
The death rate from climbing Mount Everest in the last 30 years sits about 1%. So there's not a lot of people dying.
With
but,
technology advancements, I'm sure that it's gone down. That's probably the thing.
But the death rate from climbing Mount LeConte, which is the tallest mountain in the Smokies, that has to be like 0.03%.
And we survived.
We survived, but
Good
hey,
job, guys.
No
Well
help.
done.
No help to the llamas either. We didn't need the llamas to help us out.
they have a llama train that goes up, I think, once a day, does a little round
No,
trip.
3 days a week: Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and I believe we were there on a Friday, so we got to see the llamas in action.
What does that mean, a llama train?
They bring
I had no idea either.
Well, so they bring all the supplies up to the top of LeConte, which is, I believe, the highest peak in all of Tennessee.
All of Tennessee and all of the Smoky Mountains.
Right.
Yep. Because at the peak, there's almost a small little village of cabins where you can stay. And there's no running water or electricity, I don't think, but they do have snacks you can buy and water and stuff. So the llamas bring up all that.
Yeah.
I wonder why they went with llamas.
That's a hardy creature.
Yeah, I think they work their bags off. Llamas are just notorious fourth line grinders. They just put their head down, work. They don't complain at all. They might make the odd like whatever llama noise they make, and they get the supplies up there, and it's right back down. A beautiful creature too. Like they're very fun looking.
Yeah, like a golden doodle hair.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Not a violent creature by any means.
When Europeans discovered the New World, I think llamas and alpacas, which is like their cousin, they were the only domesticated animals that they had here. So you know how in Europe we had domesticated horses and cows and sheep and stuff. They just had llamas. And their backs aren't strong enough to ride, but they were great pack animals. So you could just pack a bunch of supplies on them
And they
Use
look
them to
hilarious, so
transport
it's
it.
just good for morale when they're around.
Very
they
good
look
for
hilarious.
morale. Very good for morale.
They're also known for spitting. They'll just hawk a loogie in your face.
Right in my face. I kind of like that.
Now, prior,
That's actually in my Raya profile. I request that type of behavior.
yeah, that'd be like a fun way to refer to a chick. Oh yeah, she's an absolute llama in the sack.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
basically
just-
what
Haktua?
That's basically what she was. She was a llama.
Now, before our trip to Gatlinburg, your only experience with Tennessee was pretty much Nashville, right?
Yeah, Nashville. Just from playing in the NHL, we would fly in there. There's actually one of the funnest road cities, and we just always happened to go to Chicago. Nashville would always be the trip. And Shane Doan was our captain. You know, he's from Alberta, so he's into the country music and stuff like that. So it was a really good bonding spot for our team to like all go out together. Sometimes we'd actually go into a bar, and like our coaching staff would be in that one, so we'd have to hit up the next one. So like really the whole organization, the minute we landed, would just indulge in Nashville, the live music. And I've loved Tennessee, and it was a little bit different going to Gatlinburg because it was so commercial. Really not my thing. It reminded me actually a lot of Niagara Falls. Like I live on the Canadian side, So, of course, the Niagara Falls is beautiful. I think it's one of the 8 natural wonders of the world.
Yeah.
Or it used to be anyway. I don't know if it got bumped off the list. But
I don't think it was ever a wonder of the world.
the Niagara Falls?
Was it?
Niagara Falls?
I think it was.
Dude.
Maybe
would-
Victoria Falls.
Maybe Victoria Falls, but I don't think Niagara was ever on the list.
I probably just made that up in my head.
Donnie had no idea.
Well,
Donnie
it's
was
one of
gonna be
the
shitting on
9
Niagara Falls
Come
here.
on, let's
one of the
hear it.
na-
The Niagara
We just
Falls
putting
fucking
everything on the
sucks.
list now?
That place fucking stinks.
Yeah,
Well, Tonawanda, the American side, does suck.
the best part about the American side is the view into the Canadian side.
Right.
Is what they say, right? So they just commercialized it too much, and I felt like they did that in Gatlinburg, where everything was a chain and it was all Ripley's, believe it or not. This guy took me to the fanciest restaurant in town. The Mellow Mushroom is the worst pizza I ever had in my life.
That pizza is ass. Yeah.
This guy was raving about it like Portnoy was going to buy into the goddamn franchise. So we had an argument right off the hop.
It's like Pizza Hut with a fucking mushroom on it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not ass, but it's like I never claimed that it was the top of the top. It's going to be like Pepe's in New Haven, but
You legit said, I have this unreal pizza spot. So I was so revved up about it. I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to finally get a normal meal in this city. And then I'm eating dog food. So shout out to, I would have rather had that chunky soup can stuff at the top of the hike that you were crushing on cold.
yeah, I did chug a can of chunky soup when we got to the
What
summit.
flavor?
Beef?
That's exactly right.
I think beef. But all right, so the holy shiitake pie at Mellow Mushroom, that's a solid pizza. That's the only thing I was really vouching for.
I wouldn't feed it to my worst enemy.
Okay.
It was cool though. Like going back to the hike, La Conte is the one we did. So you can, there's a different pass you can go throughout the start of that hike, but La Conte is obviously the top we talked about. They have all those cabins. I think you have to fill out a form and get a license about a year out in advance. That's how popular this hike is there.
Yeah.
And it was unreal. The one girl that we bumped into, her name was Claire. I actually just texted her because we're editing all this footage, so we're gonna have to get her to sign off on it. But she reminded us that it's got the most vast variety of vegetation of any national park in North America.
Yeah,
Like-
she said something like that, like the most biodiverse.
Yeah, it's probably
Biodiverse.
because that's where the plate tectonics met in the Appalachians was one of the first ones that for North America. So you have the convergence of European, like Icelandic area that are coming and forming up there. So there's actually crustaceans that can be found at the tops of the Smoky Mountains as well.
When
Wow.
it used to be an ocean or something?
Yeah, so they've found different types of like horseshoe crabs, like fossil remains that were up there because at one point with Pangea, it was completely submerged and then the
Come
tectonics
on.
go up. Yeah.
I think it's the
How the
oldest
fuck do
mountain
you
range
know
in the
that?
world.
School.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
dude! I should have went.
Yeah, I learned that
God, I
from
was
Bible school actually.
Too busy working on my tape.
They
to
teach
tape
you about
passes.
plate tectonics at Bible school?
Yeah, because what they thought they were doing was teach you about Noah's flood, but in reality, there's a scientific explanation. Plate tectonics.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I mean the reason they call it the Smokies is just it's like what the moisture clouds kind of just roll
Yep.
through, and we would go from. It looked like you couldn't even see 10 feet ahead of you, and then all of a sudden it would open up because the sun would beat through it, and you could see all the rolling hills and mountains, and just a beautiful scenery. And the time of year we went, the foliage was
Yeah.
just.
I was just gonna ask that, what time of year, yeah.
I got very emotional getting on my flight because I flew out of Knoxville. I think it was to go back to Atlanta, but just like when we went up in the air, seeing all the mountains and the rolling hills and just all the foliage, like it was an emotional experience for me.
There in upstate New York are hard to beat for like trees.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I teared up a little bit up at the peak just because living in Chicago, I don't get outdoors a lot. It's just like being able to be out in nature for the full day. We also did shrooms, which I think helped.
That helped get in your feelings too. That's probably why the
and I
tears
was
came.
just like, damn, this is awesome. And like, I'm doing this for work right now. So I was very grateful at the moment. But there's a crazy contrast between the beauty of the Smoky Mountains and then Gatlinburg and Pigeon
Correct.
Forge.
Shout out Dolly Parton though.
Oh, we went to Dollywood.
Good.
We'll talk about
I
that.
thought it was more of a Graceland I was going to for Dolly Parton.
Have you ever been to Dollywood?
Yeah.
Now, is that something you brought
I went
your
to
kids?
church in the South, brother. That's all we did.
Oh, was that like a church field trip?
Oh yeah, I was like, that's your church's Disney World because in Disney World in May there's going to be a bunch of gay people. Can't do that, so you got to go to hang out with Dolly.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, he thought he was going to be able to like sniff Dolly Parton's old bras and stuff.
I mean, that should be An exhibit.
They
Yeah.
said that they added that exhibit of all of her old clothes, and I asked, what was it, Traveling with Tracy, one of the fine ladies we met who was working at Dollywood,
Yeah.
and she said that they added a lingerie and clothing aspect to the whole
Oh, man.
Okay.
viewing portion.
Did they ever say if her tits were real or not? Do we know? Because I mean, that her titties were dynamic in like the 80s. I don't think they were doing breast
Hey.
implants in the 80s.
Sam, our producer, you have to be on top of this.
That's research-
When he asks the
research and
question, you got to
development
just
over here.
Google, does Dolly Parton have bolt-ons?
Oh, they're not real bolt-ons.
Oh,
Damn.
not real. Okay. But yeah, I think Whit, your co-host, was saying on a pod that Dolly Parton's the most attractive 50-year-old woman in the world.
Oh, she's older than 50.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
she's 75.
Oh,
She's probably- yeah, you have
maybe
to
the
add-
most attractive 70-year-old.
I would 100% agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, type that in. Put the world's hottest 70-year-old.
Because it's definitely not Pamela Anderson.
Who was the actress that was in
Carolyn Hartz. Oh, she's from Perth.
Oh.
That woman's 70 years old.
Today's episode of Drop a Pin is brought to you by our good friends at Bird Dogs. Dressing up during the winter can be tricky for men, and a hoodie makes you looks like you're running late for college finals, and a blazer makes you look like you're going to a funeral. But if you don't want to look that way, you can look just like me and Donnie do right now, because we are absolutely crushing it in our Bird Dogs. We got a little bit of a quarter zip.
Dude, this is so comfortable. It feels incredible on the skin.
We just got, I wish it was on camera because Donnie just put on his first one. I've had a couple already. And when you put it on, it's legit like a quarter zip that feels like the other side of the pillow,
Yeah.
right?
Great description.
Yeah. Like it feels that way when you slip it on. It's nice and cool on your skin.
Yep.
But you could feel that like spring golf. My goodness, this is perfect.
Yeah. I used to just rock the Bird Dog shorts, but now I know what I've been missing. These are awesome.
What you were missing when you had the shorts is the pants that we got too, because the pants are incredible for golfing or just around town. It's their stretch khakis that actually look like you're dressing up. I've done it before. In fact, when I went to 2 years ago, I went to Washington, D.C. for a conference where I was talking to different congressmen and stuff. I wore those pants and put like a little blazer sports coat over it, and nobody knew the difference, but I was walking around in thinner, stretchier pants whenever I was in DC, and they hardly wrinkle at all. It's amazing. If you want to get some for a limited time, our listeners are going to get a free hat as well with any order when you use the code WONTON at birddogs.com. You get their best-selling hat completely free when you use the promo code WONTON at birddogs.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, Donnie looks, I've never seen you look more like Roger Federer in real life than you do right now.
Let's go.
So make sure, again, you go to birddogs.com and use the promo code WONTON. You're going to get a free hat. It looks great. You're going to look great with our friends at Bird Dogs.
We kind of got a little bit off
Yeah, we
topic.
got off track there.
I mean, very friendly people in Eastern Tennessee, but very different than the people I'm used to growing up in Massachusetts and then living in Chicago. Salt of the earth. There were, at one point I mentioned to a lady down there that we worked for a media company. I shouldn't have said that, because then she took a step back and she was like, what type of media?
Mm-hmm. Are you the enemy of the people?
And I was like, don't worry, lady, not the mainstream media.
CNN.
Yeah. But super friendly people. And yeah, we met a lady called Traveling with Tracy, who has a travel channel where she documents her cruise trips.
And then we met hiking with Holly on our trip up to LeConte, and that one was a little bit more emotional, where I think that she'd kind of started hiking to get away from maybe some of the struggles that she'd been going on in her life, and that one kind of took a bit of a right turn, but it's still a very interesting story. I don't know if you ended up reading her Facebook page.
Yeah, I did. It seemed like she had gone through some family drama and hiking was the cure, but she only hikes alone. She made that very clear in the video, which, that could be therapeutic. I think Barstool as a whole, it's not a hiking company. I think you walk up to 95% of the people out there and you're like, hey, would you ever want to go for a hike? It'd be a hard no.
Which I feel like the people in this office need it the most.
Yeah.
So maybe we can, I know we're doing Surviving Barstool and we do all these things as a big group. Maybe we could organize a big hike off, like a big, maybe some form of maybe whoever can reach Everest the fastest.
Okay.
No equipment, no breathing tanks, no nothing. Who can get there? 1 month journey.
My money's on you. I think you're probably the only person at the company who could do it, who could hike Everest.
You think so?
Yeah.
What's the highest one you've ever climbed?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, I know I climbed Mount Katahdin. That's the tallest mountain on the East Coast up in Maine. It's the end of the Appalachian Trail. My favorite hike I've ever done is Tiger Leaping Gorge in China. It's just this beautiful 2-day hike. So we actually spent 2 nights on the trail, took a little bit of acid. It's these beautiful like snow-capped mountains and this really deep gorge that you're just hiking along. So it's a crazy steep drop off. But
You're allowed to have acid in China? Like, what if you got caught with that? Would you be life in prison?
I mean, it's just a piece of paper. I don't even think they'd really know.
It's hard to detect.
Yeah.
And I would say that my experiences with acid are just a little bit more intense feeling of like what mushrooms would do for you.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like they're very similar in the way I react to them. Have you ever taken acid?
Mm-mm.
Have you ever taken shrooms?
Nope.
Oh,
I'm just a weed guy.
Okay, same. I like it a lot.
I would do mushrooms for sure, but I just never have.
Yeah,
I feel like you'd be a great addition to one of our more intense hikes, given the fact of your background with the Marines.
I'd be down.
Yeah, now you obviously have the Marine background, but when was the last time you went for a hike?
I did a lot of hiking when I was in Hawaii. I used to go almost every other weekend in Texas, like the Texas Hill Country. We would go a lot.
Oh, okay.
But that was one thing that I kind of kept for myself, not content wise. Like I just wanted to go out there, spend like me and my wife would go out for like 2 hours, 3 hours on a Saturday and just hike around, check out the different shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's got so many mental and physical benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it doesn't really feel like working out because there's so much other stuff going on that distracts you from how tired you are.
I don't think there's a single exercise that you could do that's walking or like even pretty hard athletes, like doing a hard sport where you're going to burn 2,000 calories in like 3 hours if you're carrying something like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
If you do 30 pounds and you're a normal person, you're going to burn, like you would have to ride your bike for like 3 hours to get anywhere near it.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel I get like some of my best ideas, some of my best thinking when I do it in Scottsdale or Arizona by myself. Like people don't necessarily think of Scottsdale for its hiking, but once you get outside of that main, the Viagra Triangle and all the chaos of Old Town.
Oh, so we have a Viagra Triangle in Chicago too.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. It's very similar in Scottsdale where it's just all chaos, like all Old Town, all the crazy bars and stuff like that. But you got like the superstitions. You can go to Cave Creek. They have some wonderful ones back there where you actually feel like you're getting away from the rustle and bustle of a city. So I also feel like it's something that you appreciate more as you get older because like you just said, you used to do it on your Saturday or Sunday to enjoy it, where back in the day, it's like we used to go to the bar and want to go party at a young age, where you get to a certain age where you just want to kind of lay low, feed the soul a little bit, get some thinking done, and that's enough partying I need for the day.
Yeah, and just being able to get away from your phone for a little bit, because that's one thing, working at Barstool Sports, there are weeks where I'm like, I just need to delete all social media for a week. But then I feel bad because I'm like, wait, social media is kind of my job.
Yeah. And then Dave's calling and you don't have a job anymore.
Yeah, like
not now, Dave.
I don't think
Dave
that
wouldn't
would
even notice now.
Yeah, no, I could definitely go a week off social media, would not make a difference job wise, but I just feel like I'm obligated. But even when I'm not posting myself, I'll find myself just scrolling for an hour, and it makes you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Where if you go hike for an hour, you feel great.
No
Now,
doubt.
you said you like to do it in Scottsdale. Would you prefer to do it in the super hot, dry climate, or like Tennessee, where you're going to be like in deciduous forest type of vibe?
So what's good about it is when I'm in the summertime, when it's 110, 115 degrees, I'm actually up in BC and they have unbelievable hiking. Like that to me is my favorite area and pocket of the world, Pacific Northwest area. So I kind of get the best of both worlds. I got a 1-2 punch where, it's like 70, 75 degrees there now. And that's when I go out and do it. It's dry. You could take your shirt off, get some vitamin D and yeah, that's kind of how I like to do it. So I don't mind the desert hikes. I kind of like seeing different types of vegetation. And that's kind of the purpose of this show too, is we want to go to different pockets in parts of North America and then eventually maybe down south, overseas, like whatever.
Mount Kilimanjaro.
What is that? Is that K2?
No.
That's a different one?
Yes.
Okay.
We've talked about it. Where is Mount Kilimanjaro?
Japan?
Nope. Which continent?
Africa?
Yes. It's
Okay.
the tallest mountain in Africa.
Okay.
And whereas if you try to climb Everest, it can take you up to 2 months, you can climb Mount Kilimanjaro in 1 week. That's why I think that's actually a doable thing that we could build up to and each take a week to travel there and climb it. And we've already been invited by another guest on this pod, Chris Long, who hikes it to raise money for his Water Boys charity.
And he's already done it, right?
Yeah.
He's done a bunch.
Yeah.
I think he does it once every 2 years, and like his next hike is gonna be 2026, and he said we're welcome
He
to come
already
along.
invited all the Barstool crew.
You guys will probably know the name of this guy. So I watched a documentary where it was called Seven Peaks or something.
NIMS.
Yeah, and
Nims,
this guy
Georgia.
did the 7 hardest hikes in the world in a 6-month span. I guess this guy has a ridiculous he was naturally born with a VO2 max that is like no other. And they showed him training on a bike and getting all the getting all the science and why he was so naturally good at it. And then he ended up doing it for this documentary. I watched the whole thing. It was very inspiring, and that's kind of what kicked my ass in order to maybe spark the idea to do this.
So I actually know NIMS. That's who I hiked to Everest Base Camp with. And then my friend went with NIMS all the way up to the summit. And then they were very close to the summit, they found some guy freezing to death. He was completely alone. And like NIMS performed the highest altitude rescue in Nepal history or something
What?
like that. Yeah.
Got to get him on the show. Jesus.
Is that where he's from, Nepal?
Yes.
Aren't they notorious for their hiking ability?
Yeah. So Sherpas are from Nepal. You were actually calling me your life Sherpa on the hike.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't even know what that means.
Me neither.
But
That was the shrooms talking.
okay.
That was the
I love it. Embrace
chunky
it.
shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I should go in your
That was
Twitter
food
bio.
poisoning from mellow mushroom.
the food poisoning. Yeah. I'm Biz's life Sherpa. But yeah,
If
NIMS
you
is-
could pick your favorite hike in the world, what would it be? Like one that you've done where it was just, and it could have been with the Marines. It could have been one you did just like yourself or your wife or.
I mean, super simple, but probably because all my family was there. I really enjoyed Diamond Head in Hawaii. I think once you get up there and you look over, it's just gorgeous. I loved it.
Which island is that?
I always been bad about that. It's the one that Maui's on.
Diamond Head. It's
Hawaii?
a volcano in Hawaii, and it is on Oahu.
Okay.
I think it just puts
yeah.
life in this perspective of how small we really are too.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of it all, right? We get wrapped up in our own little worlds and in our head.
Yeah. What was the town in British Columbia that you wanted to take me? You were like, we can take a seaplane there. And then you show me photos. It looks incredible.
Yeah, that's Tofino. It's maybe known a little bit more for its surfing. It's a very remote place on Vancouver Island. That's on the northern west tip. And basically, the next thing would be is like China, Japan. It's like that's the only thing in between.
Wow.
Can you look that up, Sam?
And
Tofino. It's Tofino.
yeah, it's a very remote place. It's beautiful.
Wow.
They got unreal beaches, and it's just it's paradise.
Yeah.
You're not going there to get any type of pulse. It's a very small town, and I got a place in Oak Bay, Victoria, which is on the southeast tip of it. So you're protected from the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
So this would probably be about a 6-hour drive up island.
Jeez.
The Vancouver Island's a very special place, and the first time I ever went there, I just kind of felt like it was home. I'm originally from Ontario, but ever since even playing out west for the Coyotes, I just feel like I'm a Western person. Like I just gravitated. I feel like the pace is perfect. The East Coast can be a little bit too intense and rough for me.
Yeah.
But I like the laid back approach that they have out there.
Yeah.
I always say Canada's when people ask me what the prettiest location I've ever been in, it's in Canada, Banff.
Banff is stunning.
Lake Louise is the prettiest thing I've ever seen with my own eyes.
Yeah, and I feel like the downtown Banff, same as I mentioned about Niagara Falls, it's been a little bit over commercialized, but yes, everything around it, if you have a chance to go up there to Canmore and or Banff, I would highly recommend it. It's just stunning. They got beautiful golf courses. But I would definitely, I don't know how the hiking though would be in Tofino because you're right by the water. So we would have to look it up to see if we would ever end up going there for one. But they have on the mainland near Whistler, they have so many good ones. They have that Chief that we would like to do.
which is just, it's not a super long one, but it's directly straight up.
That one is the Grouse Grind, and that is actually in North Vancouver.
Okay.
So you get a whole view of the downtown. But some tourists show up like they're wearing like high heels and jeans. They think it's just going to be let's go do Grouse Grind. It's like, no, this is probably the hardest hour workout of your life.
Yeah.
You're going up like what? Probably at least like 100, 110 degrees. Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty steep one.
Yeah. We for sure have to do a hike in Vancouver, because just in terms of regions, that's one spot I've never been. I haven't been to the Pacific Northwest or the Vancouver, British Columbia area.
We will definitely do that. And another one too is I resort back to my ex-girlfriend again. She opened my eyes to a lot of amazing things, like the hiking world. And I'd never been to Jackson Hole. So we went there, and then went there for the first time, and I ended up buying a piece of dirt there. And I was like, this is the most majestic place on planet Earth. And I felt like I was in a Jurassic Park movie, like driving through there. When you kind of see like, oh my God, these like luscious mountains and everything going on.
Yeah.
Of course, they have the Grand Tetons there.
Yeah.
So they have some pretty good hikes out there that I'd like to take you on as well.
I heard you mention this on Chiclets. Is it true the Tetons were named after tits?
Yeah, les Grands Tetons, oui.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think the French settlers went there and they named them.
All right.
It's just two big tits like Dolly Parton's.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But these ones are real.
Yeah.
Still rock hard, though.
Yeah, they're rock. Yeah, these are rock hard.
Yeah.
Rock hard.
Sequoia National Park would be a great one for you guys to do too.
Yeah, I think I drove through there once.
Is that
with
California?
My brother.
Yeah, like they have some redwoods there too. Sequoia trees and redwoods.
Yeah, they have trees so big that they'll actually build a tunnel through them.
Yeah, I've seen
you
photos
can
of that. You can
drive
drive like a Volkswagen
Yeah.
Beetle.
And it's one of those things like walking through, like you're like, great. Like a redwood, how fucking big could it be? And then you walk up to it, you're like,
They're-
God damn, dude.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
how tall? Like 200 feet?
Like it
Maybe
looked like
taller.
skyscraper size. Like they're just enormous trees. It's hard to even like really put into. It just looks insane. Like there shouldn't be a tree that size. It's like dinosaur trees.
my very first time in Wyoming.
Wow.
I thought I was going someplace like Jackson Hole. I was invited by Eddie to go to this professional bull riding event, and I was amped up because I had seen photos of Jackson Hole. Turns out it was in Cheyenne, which is on the Great Plains. There was really nothing to do. It was
Yeah, no,
pretty
it's a
depressing.
little bit more desert-like there too, right?
Yeah, it's more just there's just flat and there's nothing.
Yeah, I
to
think
do.
the only nice pocket of that whole state is what on the west northwest side in that little pocket near like when you get closer to Montana and stuff like that. They got Big Sky. It's
Yeah.
just outside the state line, and then on the other side it's Idaho.
Yep.
And some parts of Idaho are
Stunning.
unbelievably beautiful.
That's the drive I do every summer.
Oh, yeah?
I'll drive from Arizona all the way up to BC, and I'll go through that area.
I used to watch this show called Mountain Men, and one of the dudes there, he lived in Idaho, and he like ran dogs that chased mountain lions off of like ranchers' properties and shit. Had like 30 beagles that he would just run on these mountain lions. And whenever they would show the pictures of him like riding over the crest of these little hills, and they would do like the back distance shot, you're like, man, I would have never in a million years guessed that's Idaho. Like ever. Because all you hear is like flatlands, potatoes.
Right.
It's beautiful.
It's unbelievable. I love driving through there. I go through that Wyoming side, then you pop out in what's the place that's popping off right now?
Boise?
Wall Street Journal wrote an article basically calling it the next Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Is it like Teutonia is one of them?
Teutonia,
I can look it up on my maps, but there are so many beautiful places in North America to explore. I don't think like a lot of people talk about it enough.
No, I'm excited for this show because Rediscovering America, we try to go to the tackiest, like weirdest places in America. But with this show, we're trying to go to some of the nicest places in the country.
Yeah.
I think we do need to go back to Pigeon Forge and discuss that a little bit more because one of the more bizarre places I've been to in my life. Have you ever been?
Yeah.
Laser
Yeah.
tags,
Yeah.
Trump
Okay.
stores. It was just crazy.
It's like Daytona Beach is in the mountains.
Yep.
Like,
Myrtle Beach of the mountains.
Right. Like Panama City.
He called it something we can't even say on the pod, but blank Las Vegas. Maybe I'll just say it and then we can beep it out. Don't worry, this won't get leaked. He called it.
Okay.
Okay.
Was I accurate or not?
Yeah, you were spot on.
I was just shocked at how much junk they were selling there. It was all junk.
Junk, but
that's the South, baby. That's how we do it.
Yeah, why?
I don't know.
You got this place that's like so beautiful in these national parks, and then you surround it with that type of stuff. So it's just a little bizarre to me.
if I was 7 years old, though, I think it would be paradise. Just like millions of laser tags.
I think there was 25 mini putts.
25 mini putts. They had
All
this
the
like
saltwater taffy you could eat.
yeah, this like Jurassic Park river ride. They had indoor snow tubing.
They had Titanic.
Yeah, just a giant replica of the Titanic hitting an iceberg.
As one does in
As one
Tennessee.
does. They had a
Tennessee's like, what?
It was just
the
so
fuck else
random.
are we gonna do? Titanic is a huge hit. Let's build
So
it.
random.
it's the largest Titanic museum on the planet.
They have like a water ride where you can get on the door and go down it.
They had micro wrestling. We can't call it midget wrestling. It's
Right.
micro wrestling.
Which I think might be more offensive.
micro.
Would you want to be called like midget, which has been a widely used term forever, or you're a micro person?
I tend to agree with you,
Little
but
people.
it's not me to say.
I mean, Zaw calls himself a midget all the time. I feel like we're cleared hot to do it too.
Yeah. We got just not the other one.
Yeah. True.
They got very popular. They had a show on TLC, I think, micro wrestling.
I wouldn't doubt it. That seems like a TLC thing. Yeah.
Who is that guy? He was called like Psycho something. Psycho Sam. He's like a celeb now on TikTok.
Who was the little clown guy that used to be in the WWE too? There was a little clown dude that used to roll around.
I never watched a lot of wrestling growing up. Once in a while.
I did, but only the super poor people stuff. WCW wasn't Hulk Hogan too much money.
Yeah.
Couldn't handle.
Couldn't buy the pay-per-views.
No. $49? No way.
What where? So with the Drop the Pin podcast, like where do you guys go next? Do you guys ever indulge in trips together? Like is that part of the thing, or you just more so talk up to people who have been to these crazy places?
We would love to do a trip together at some point. We started the pod kind of right before I'm having a kid. So an abroad trip might have to be put on the back burner for a little bit, but I would say maybe sometime over the summer. There's actually a chance we're going to Mexico City in June because I think they want me to go down to help cover a NASCAR race, and then I'll just be like, you got to bring Chaps too.
Yeah.
They do NASCAR in Mexico City?
It's the first one, I think,
Yeah.
that they're going to do there.
It's the first one, and there's so many Mexicans in Chicago that they have cheap direct flights, Chicago to Mexico City, and I've heard great things about that spot.
Oh, I heard Mexico City's like 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Great,
and
great.
there's a lot of hiking there too. 'Cause
Okay.
it's a higher elevation than Denver.
Oh,
Like
shit.
when they first were talking about having games there are certain players that weren't allowed to come because sickle cell. They had like traits of sickle cell in some of their families, and if they did, the doctors wouldn't clear them because the elevation was so high.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Damn.
I think it was Ryan Clark that it happened
Yeah.
to, where they were like, "Nah, dude, you can't play." It was too much of a medical risk.
My aunt and uncle were actually missionaries in Papua New Guinea at some point in their life.
Wow.
And like, I've seen pictures of their journey, and it was like those people, like no internet, no nothing. They're just
Dude,
living off
yeah.
the land. That would be pretty
And
intense.
cannibal vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are cannibal tribes there. Papua New Guinea might be one of the most extreme places on Earth.
Is it?
Yeah, I've also heard the capital, Port Moresby, is ranked like one of the most dangerous cities on the planet. So kudos to your.
So
it was your aunt and uncle?
cross that off the list.
Also used to be
Well,
a
I
penal
think we can
colony,
cross
too.
that off the list. I think who was one of the Rockefellers. So you know the Rockefellers, one of the richest families
Yes.
in America. The heir, is it heir or heir? The
I think
heir.
they're both
Yeah.
good.
The heir to the Rockefeller fortune. He was a big travel guy, and he traveled to Papua New Guinea and was last seen with this tribe. They think he got eaten.
That's it? Done?
Yeah.
Dunzo.
Yeah, or the family wanted them out of the will. They just took care of them and blamed all the
He's a
cannibals.
fucking loser sitting in Papua New Guinea.
There's actually like a very good book about it. I got to read it.
Yeah.
My
not.
favorite Olympic story is the Papua New Guinea guy. I don't know if you've ever heard this story or not, but they were trying to get smaller countries into like more Olympic games.
Right?
So Papua New Guinea got a spot for swimming, and they got a dude that learned how to swim 2 years before the Olympics, and he only could like train in a hotel's pool, like that was in the parking lot,
Right.
like an old school motel. So the first time he ever swam in an Olympic-sized pool was at the Olympics.
Come on.
And there was you could YouTube it.
He's like, where are the sharks?
There's like, he ended up having to race by himself because there was like 2 other people that dropped out of the heat. So he's doing this heat, might have been with 1 other or 2 other people, but he's like a legit 75 seconds behind the winner.
No.
Just like absolutely battling, going through. Yeah.
He's got the water wings on.
Yeah,
Can't
but
even stay afloat. He's got the life vest.
Imagine doing a sport for 2 years and the next thing you know, you're going against Michael fucking Phelps.
That is gnarly.
You know?
That is gnarly. Oh.
Drop a Pin is also sponsored by Hydro. There are a few worse places on earth than a gym during the month of January. You got people like Nikki Smokes walking around, all of a sudden pretending like they're some fitness god. If getting fit for 2025 is your resolution, though, don't let the chaotic gym crowds get in your way. Get an immersive, full-body workout, all from the comfort of your own home with Hydro Rower. Hydro is your go-to for the ultimate full-body workout. It's designed by rowers, so you know it's going to get the job done, all in 20 minutes. And this thing is great. It's also got a screen, so you can row all over the world. You can be in a fjord in Norway. Ford, I think that's how it's pronounced, right?
Fjord.
I struggle with that. A fjord. You can be rowing the Charles River back in Boston. You could probably be even rowing the Chicago River. I don't know.
I hope not.
they got all sorts of just beautiful geographic locations. So you can kind of transport yourself somewhere else. And before you know it, 20 minutes are up and you just got an incredible workout.
Have a little serene music playing in your ears, watching the serene scene. You're just going to have a serene morning.
Yeah, and they also have instructors, which some of them are Olympic athletes, guiding you through the entire thing. Yeah. World-class athletes and Olympic medalists, they're your personal coach when you have a Hydro Rower. So no matter what your starting point or goals are, whether you're training for a marathon or training for life, Hydro meets you where you are. It's low impact, which means minimal risk of injury, and it combines the strength and cardio just to give you an all-around amazing workout. So kick off this new year with a full-body workout, all from the comfort of your home with Hydro. So head over to hydro.com and use code WONTON to save up to $475 off your Hydro Pro rower. That's hydrow.com, code WONTON, to save up to $475 off your rower. Hydro.com, code WONTON. Let's get back to the pod. Quickly before you leave, let's briefly touch on the Irish Travelers, just because when I heard that those were the guys that jumped you, I had some experience with them. My wife lives 20 minutes from the largest community of Irish travelers on the planet. Is
it in Texas?
No, it's not in Texas. It's Murphy Village, South Carolina.
Okay.
It's the largest community in the U.S., and I was fascinated because I had never even heard the term. Had you heard the term?
Never knew anything about it.
And I did know in that area of South Carolina, they're known for roofing scams. But we were driving by and I was like, I kind of want to check this place out. So I drove through the neighborhood and it was a bunch of these Mick mansions and then with a trailer in the front yard or the backyard. And I guess a lot of them, even though they have this giant mansion, they'll live in the trailer. And one person told me it's because they believe that after someone dies in the mansion, their ghost inhabits it. So they have to move into a trailer. And then another person told me they keep the house for when they're doing large events like family parties or something, but the rest of the time they'll just be in the trailer. And I think like when the men are traveling, the women have to stay in the trailer.
What is it, like a traveling scam?
Well, Irish travelers is another word for Irish gypsies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say like gypsies. Yeah.
So they're also called tinkers. I think they're also called pikeys. There's a lot of terms for them.
I was just shocked to hear that it's such a big thing and like it hasn't been nipped in the butt. Like these people are just going around scamming everyday, civilians, and it seems to be a big enough operation where they can finally nip this thing in the butt. They just go door to door. They tell you, hey, we'll do the asphalt on your driveway. Put 50% down. If you don't like it or don't think it was done properly, we'll refund you. And then they give them the deposit, and then they might do a little bit of work and then see you later. They might not even show back up. So it's weird, man. And then like the ones that boot fucked me in the head. I think there's felonies out for them, but they didn't even show up to their court dates. And then I think they just changed their names, and then it's off to the next town or wherever they can go to keep running scams. Jeez. I heard from private investigators that they're driving around in $100,000 vehicles. They'll rent cars, like nice vehicles from rental places. They'll take out the engines, replace it with old shitty ones, bring them back. Like it's just nonstop what they do in order to earn a buck. And it was just weird. These ones, like they were in Scottsdale, and you think if you ran those types of operations, you wouldn't want to bring any type of attention to yourself. But that was the opposite case, where these guys were just being dickheads all over town, suckering staff at a golf course. Like I got a bunch of messages from people being like, oh yeah, these guys came over to this establishment that I work at and they walked out on their bill. I was at this establishment and they were harassing the staff. I was at this golf course working and they were being dickheads. So I don't know, maybe it's just these group of guys in particular, but even when they got caught, they were lying about who they were, and they had a fake government or fake military ID to get discounts. Jeez. So they are just, they're pros. Pro thieves.
Mm-hmm. It's totally worth it getting 10% off somewhere.
Yeah. And I think it's a felony to have a fake military ID. Uh-huh. So, I mean, that guy, I don't know what type of time he's going to serve, but I don't know how it works. So if you get a felony in state, whether it carries over from like a national perspective, or if you're outside the state lines, they can't really exercise it.
There's extradition for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good to know.
Especially any felony within inside the United States. Typically, especially for something like you're talking about, every state would extradite to the state that is requesting.
Okay, good.
When I was driving through Murphy Village, after 10 minutes, I noticed a guy tailing me, and I was clearly being followed, so I got out of there. And hey, I'm sure there are some Irish travelers that don't scam people for a living, but sounds like a lot of them do.
I'm going to lump them all together. Scumbags.
Yeah. I would like to know like how they became a separate group of people than just the Irish. I don't know how far back it goes, but maybe we'll drop a pin in Murphy Village one time and get to the bottom.
I feel like that would be you do sometimes these one-offs. I mean, when you went down to that underground village, was it in Vegas?
Yeah, in Vegas.
I feel like maybe doing a documentary on Irish travelers would be a very sought-after thing now with all the attention they're getting in the media.
That's a good idea.
We should call it the Irish Travelers, our search for Danny Bradley, who was the asshole in the green shirt who suckered the guy.
That would be so much fun. Trying to be a private investigator.
Hey, we could almost do a reboot of Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, Don the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah. You just stole my concept.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure Irish Travelers had a reality TV show on TLC as well at some point.
Oh, God, these guys have been everywhere.
They're known for their like 8-year-old daughters they'll have in full makeup. Just caked on.
Well, yeah. Another thing is, I think some of them are inbred, like they're cousin fuckers.
Yeah.
It's a very
inbred people fascinate me.
Oh yeah,
I love it. Like the different West Virginia type of documentaries that you'll see, like the Wild Whites of West Virginia.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a crapshoot. Like when you do incest, like there's a chance the kid might come out kind of normal.
Yeah,
and then there's a chance the
Shout
kid's
out Catherine the Great.
Yeah, and then there's a chance the kid's going to come out super fucked up. Mm-hmm. All right, Biz.
It's like cock roulette.
It really is.
Just don't know what you're going to land. Don't hit the green.
Yeah.
All right, Biz. You want to just give us a few final thoughts on Eastern Tennessee?
Beautiful hiking, wonderful people. Keep the breakfast orders very simple. You don't want to get shunned for that and end up all over social media. And that's it. The foliage. Check out the foliage and go to LeConte and enjoy yourself a nice trip in nature. That's all I got to say. And it was a pleasure working with you and Corey. And I'm really excited for Peaking to hit the airways. And then are we doing the pod too? Is the pod still kind of up in the air? Because we were talking about maybe doing Peaking as the show that you can watch on YouTube, where we did the come down is another double entendre, because we're coming off the drugs, and then talking about our experience and coming down the mountain, obviously.
Which, I mean, that could be actually just recorded on the walk down the mountain as a possibility, or it could just be like
it's still up in the air.
A recap afterwards.
It's still up in the air. I appreciate you guys for having me on. And this was wonderful. It was good to learn a few things and talk about Dolly Parton's tits.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I think with Pekin, we're going to try to do them like Biz does sandbaggers, where we would drop 5 to 6 a year, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be a good number.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And if you're going to Gatlinburg, make sure to make a reservation at one of the pancake houses because they are a hot ticket.
Yeah.
I had to pretend I was Charles Barkley in order to get a table, and that didn't even work.
You're a little light-skinned.
And one last thought on the shrooms. It's funny how the environment you're in is so important with shrooms because we took them on the hike up to the peak, and I was feeling incredible. Like I was in my flow state. And then the next day we were doing a live stream, and I sprinkled some on my omelet. And I was like, yeah, this could like help spice up the live stream. I immediately felt super uncomfortable. We were just like driving down the highway in Pigeon Forge, going to
sensory overload,
indoor snow tubing spots. I had Biz screaming in my face because he beat me in a snow tubing race.
I'm the Snow King, baby. I'm the Snow King. Oh, sorry, girl.
Just being like, I am the ice god. And I was also like live at the time. So I was like, God damn, why did I do shrooms? I'm so uncomfortable.
All right, next stop, Titanic, and then...
When I go grande, cholito more, you can't help me, Donnie. I am the winner. I am the best that ever did it. I'm the ice god, baby.
You just scared the shit out of me.
Like, I don't know. It just sometimes they hit you completely differently.
Yeah, I agree with you. Only do them on the way up and in the mountains.
Yeah.
Not when you're going to the carnival that is Pigeon Forge.
All right.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Biz.
Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends at DraftKings. If you're paying attention to the NFL playoffs like we are, you're going to want to get in the action. If your team, like my team, the beloved Jacksonville Jaguars, are kicked out, your team, the New England Patriots, are kicked out. If you want to have a little interest and a little skin in the game, head over to our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. You can put in new customer, get $5 bet. You just deposit $5 and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. You can score big during the NFL playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code DROP. That's code DROP, D-R-O-P, for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Again, that's the promo code DROP to put in $5 so that you get $200 in bonus bets. Perfect time for the playoffs, and it's a perfect sportsbook app for you, my friends. I want the two most tortured franchises, which I would say are the Lions and the Bills. I want them to go to the Super Bowl to face each other, go to overtime, so one fan base is absolutely destroyed.
Hey, that would be an incredible game to watch.
The Bills would be great. Super Bowl loss number 5.
Oh my God, no. I don't want to see. I want to see either the Bills or the Lions win it all. Yeah, because I mean, the Bills and Lions could face each other.
They could.
Yeah, and then you'll still be able to, wallow in one fan base's tears.
Yeah, I need that.
Yeah.
As a Jags fan, that's the only thing I look forward to is other people's sadness.
Yes.
So if you want to do that with us, again, go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app. $5. You put in $5 and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Let's hop back into the pod.
Let's get cultured with Stu Feiner.
What an oxymoron. Stu Feiner and culture.
But you are a cultural icon, I'd say.
I'm a living legend. I am an icon. I guess I have affected culture. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I invented the sports gambling handicapping industry. In 1980, there was no people in the world selling sports picks on a big level. In spite of the mafia trying to make a move on my business, I overcame that. I was the first commercial on ESPN in 1984 when ESPN got the NBA playoffs. And then later in life, I was really the start of Barstool Sports. If Dave and his father and his uncle didn't watch my TV show in the late 80s, early 90s, I don't believe there would be a Barstool Sports. So I take full credit for Barstool existing. And then when I came to Barstool, I had the anomaly of my audience was 40, 50, 60-year-olds that were multimillionaires, because at that time I was trying to get $25,000 to $1 million out of these people. When I came to Barstool, we have high school kids, college kids, in their 20s that just got out of college. How do I present myself to them? I'm not going to, so to speak, take advantage of them. So I had to do a 360 and explain to them gambling is for the rich to have fun and lose money. The reality of life is no one wins money gambling. You have two types of gamblers, a loser and a liar and a loser. So then I created the perfect hour of sex, 15, 30, 15 minutes eating ass, 15 minutes licking clit, 30 minutes fucking. If you can't hold your load, bring a vibrator. And that really ingratiated myself to the high school, college kids, because I stood out. And it worked. If you could not hold your load, if you were insecure making a move on a woman, I gave you actually the brick and mortar, meat on the bones, factual blueprint of how to be a great lover.
But the 15, 30, you still have to hold your load for 30 minutes, which is a long time for some people.
If you can't hold your load, you bring a vibrator. And the vibrator that I tell them
I gotta be honest,
verbatim,
the first 15, I might be done.
Well, no, most people, no. Most people do.
Gas.
But how I've learned in life is that second load is your best load. Because once you get hard again, you're not going to premature ejaculate. It's very difficult for a guy to premature ejaculate twice. So in other words, the vibrator that I tell people, because most people cannot fuck for 30 minutes hard. Okay, I can. Most people can't. I tell them to bring a vibrator. The vibrator I use is one with the mouse head at the end. The tongue flickers back and forth. So we ram that into the clitoris,
right?
And we finger fuck the asshole and the vagina so they come like a Niagara Falls. So I am a cultural icon. Yes, I own it, and I've gave details for it.
What an unbelievable answer.
Wow,
Jesus
okay.
Christ.
Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you ask me, because...
All right, so we can't teach you anything about gambling culture, but do you have
fucking.
any... Yeah, or fucking probably. I mean,
No.
two
I've seen it
loads
all,
back to
done it
back.
all.
I'm done after one load.
I eat ass in a whorehouse.
Okay.
Well, do you have any questions for us about different cultures outside the U.S., a different country, any travel-related questions?
100%. I have a plethora of questions, really, because, like I just told you off air, we'll tell on air, I went to Italy in 1988 for 2 weeks for my honeymoon. And then our 10-year anniversary, I went to France. And basically, that is the only time I've actually been out of the country. Not counting Bermuda, not counting the Bahamas, not counting Cancun, those types, or Aruba. I'm really, like this upcoming year and next upcoming year, my wife being retired, I'm now 63. I'm going to be 64 January 31st, oddly enough, on PFT's birthday and the day before Big Cat's birthday. And I think January 30th is also Dave's cousin Riggs' birthday. So we want to go to Greece. We want to go to Tahiti. And I want to go to, Australia. But the main question I'm going to ask you about is Israel.
Oh, okay.
Now, you've been to Israel.
I have.
Okay, so my father only went to Israel once about 10 years ago, and it was the first time it ever snowed in Israel. It snowed like 2 feet, and he fell and slipped and fell right on his face and broke his nose. He was supposed to be there for 3 weeks. He ended up being there for almost 2 months, and he wore like an X across his face. Like if there was not FaceTime, I would not have believed there was snow in Israel, and I would not have believed he broke his nose, because my father has one story after another, bless his heart. He passed away April 17th, so, I'm without him. But I was always intrigued by going to Israel. My third son went there on birthright. He lived in a kibbutz for 2 weeks, and then he had a hook in Tel Aviv, and then they lived it up in Tel Aviv, at the number one hotel there, and they partied hard.
Supposed to be an awesome place to party.
Exactly. So, but the thing with me was I was always scared because I'm married Irish Catholic. So really, I'm not actually a Jew in reality. I haven't practiced Judaism since I was 13 years old. After my bar mitzvah, that was it, because be honest with you, it wasn't fun being a Jew, especially on Long Island, Farmingdale, Long Island. There was Protestants, there was Catholics. Jews were looked really. I took a lot of abuse my whole life. I moved in March of 4th grade in 1970, and I took abuse being a Jew. So I married an Irish Catholic. So pretty much, I'm more Irish Catholic than I am Jewish as far as overall. But I was always scared going to Israel because. Because I don't want to die, like the conflict and everything. So first of all, how's the pussy in Israel? That's the first question.
I went with my college girlfriend, and so that was the only pussy I sampled while I was over there. I will
Was
say,
she hot? Was she a good fuck?
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Let's hope she's not watching this. I haven't talked to her in years.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't worry about her.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I mean, that's yes.
I think she's happily married now.
The limitations ran out on that. You can say
Yes,
whatever the
yeah,
fuck you
you're
want.
right.
We're not
That's very
using her
true.
name.
Yeah.
I will say it is amazing. So obviously, Jewish people in the U.S., they don't have a reputation for like being the most attractive people. Would you say that's true?
100%. What do you mean?
100%.
Look at me.
I would say it seemed like 90% of the Israelis I saw over there were very attractive. Yeah. So when we were traveling around, we traveled with a few members of the Israeli military. And if you grew up in Israel, you have to join the military for 2 years. So we were with some chicks that were in the military. They were all smoking hot. And then just who you see walking down the street. And then all the dudes are jacked. Where it's like Jews in the U.S. have a reputation for being a little more nerdy, bookish, I guess. But like the Jews in Israel were jacked. Everybody's tan because they're living in the Mediterranean. Gal Gadot is Israeli. Mm-hmm. She's a smoke. A smoke. So, I mean, I would have to guess Israeli pussy is top notch.
Like it.
Yeah, put me in that camp too. I would say that. I mean, I don't know from experience either.
My dad had an Israeli girlfriend at one point in his life. I mean, should I call my dad and say, I ask him how his Israeli pussy was? I have never talked to my dad about.
Please, I'm begging you to do it. I am fucking begging you to do it.
This is culture at its finest.
I will do it. I'm gonna ask lovemaking. I'm just going to ask him how was the lovemaking.
Yeah, I would mention 15, 30.
Yeah.
I don't think
know if you
I
pop
have
ever
never
ate
talked
ass.
to my dad about sex, I don't think. Oh my
This is
God.
incredible.
Hey, Dad, how's it going? You're on the podcast right now. And someone was asking us about how sex is with Israeli girls. And I know you had an Israeli girlfriend at one point. Would you be willing to comment on the lovemaking with her if it was...
Well,
good.
What's the question again? What was the question again? Could you repeat that?
I guess could you just comment on Israeli girls? Stu Feiner, who is Jewish from Long Island, but he's never been to Israel. He was just wondering about Israeli women and what they're like. And he did ask if they're good in bed, but if you don't want to comment on that, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, what I could say is that at least the woman that I met was very attractive and very sensual and very exciting to be with.
Okay, so
Perfect answer.
that's
what I want to know.
That sounds positive. Sorry for putting you on the spot.
That's okay. I've got pictures hidden away if you want to see them sometime.
Yeah, let's throw a photo of your Israeli girlfriend in this podcast.
With clothes on or without?
Yeah, just send what photos you have, and maybe we'll share them on the pod.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Dad.
See ya. Bye.
Yep, bye.
Photo
All right.
stash.
Well,
So there it is, firsthand.
Very sensual and very exciting.
Love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I guess, if I ever go to Israel and leave my wife home, and what I do in Israel stays in Israel. I mean, that's basically how I'm going to look at it.
That's what they say.
Yes.
And yeah, in terms of you were asking about the safety, it's one of those things. Your chances of actually getting caught up in some sort of terrorist attack are slim. They're obviously, I would say, higher in Israel than they are in Chicago. But it's kind of just hopping on an airplane. There's a chance the airplane will crash, but it's very slim to none. if you talk to Pat Bev, who's been playing out in Tel Aviv, he seems to be loving it out there.
Right.
Yeah.
I was always scared with these suicide bombers. That was always intimidating to me. You know, when I saw, like, it stopped me from going to Israel, to be honest with you. I was like, you know, like, the last thing I want to do is be on a bus going to the, you know, the Dead Sea and die. You know, like, in other words, I was just nervous. I always wanted to go to the Wailing Wall. I always wanted to see Israel. I always, be honest with you, wanted to see Egypt also. I wanted to see that area. I wanted to, you know, go in the pyramids, go in the tombs.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always thought that was so intriguing, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, in my, you know, my father was Orthodox up until we came to Long Island, and he was very staunch religious. Like during the Rosh Hashanah and the Yom Kippur high holidays in Brooklyn, where I came from, we lived in Brooklyn. We lived in 2662 West 2nd Street. So it's Avenue X and Ocean Parkway. And we lived in, oddly enough, it was called the Beach Haven Apartments. They were freestanding 6-story buildings that Fred Trump owned, Donald Trump's father. And my father, oddly enough, was late on the rent a lot, and he became friends with Fred Trump. And Fred allowed my father to, you know, be late on the mortgage. So we met Fred, and Fred and my father became friends. And my father, his core business, when I was young in Brooklyn, he worked for a place called Letterama. And through Fred Trump, my father got 2 major accounts, Madison Square Garden and HBO. So he was making the letters for all the signs at Madison Square Garden and at HBO. But my point is that they take religion very seriously. So when I went to synagogue in Brooklyn, there was no English. You know, there was rabbis davening in, you know, another language that I actually didn't understand. And it was very intimidating. And it was very scary. And so when I came to Long Island, there were no Jews. I mean, there literally were no Jews. Like, I don't know if you know the story. I don't know if you...
because I thought Long Island was actually known for having a pretty large Jewish population now.
Yeah, let me tell you something. First day I came there, I don't know if you know the story, but first day we come, we bought a beautiful house. My father did instead of an apartment in a 6-story building. We were on 6D. That was the apartment, 6th floor, number D. Me and my mother and my brother. We went to Dairy Barn. Dairy Barn is a freestanding little building that sold iced tea and milk and cookies and donuts, bread. You know, you're quickly, you drive in, drive out. It was a little red barn. And we get an iced tea and a milk and a donuts. We come back. This is the day one I'm living there. And in my driveway is written the letter kike. The word kike. In crab apples they did it. And they hung this umbrella from the gutter right in front of our door. My mother opens the screen door, hits the umbrella, bricks and crab apples come down, and they smash the iced tea and the milk. And the kids that did this were hiding in the bushes directly across the street. And they all scurried and ran because I don't think they thought it was going to be that much of a calamity. They didn't think it through. But the anti-Semitism and the hatred for Jews, like that was 4th grade. So 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, I was called a kike. I was called a dirty Jew. I was called a fat Jew. And I was called a Christ killer.
Yeah.
And so let's say if there was 700 kids in my class, there was 10 Jews.
Okay.
So in other words, but I always felt like my father always said, you have to go to Israel. You have to see where your people come from.
Yeah.
And, you know, like when your father is so passionate about something, you want to do it. But by the same token, I rebelled against being Jewish because I didn't want to be an outsider. You know what I mean? I didn't want people to not like me. As it turns out, and it helped my entire life and career, I became a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be hated. I didn't want to be, you know, singled out or unliked by the general population. So Israel was always somewhere I want to go.
Yeah.
I wanted to go, and I never went because a lot of fear, but also Greece.
Greece, I have never been. But
Oh, you never went to Greece?
I've never been to
Were
Greece.
you in Greece?
I got to get
Nope,
there.
I've never
Okay,
been.
so in other words, Greece would be another place that I want you to go to, and then also Spain.
I have been to Spain.
So my delusion is to see Rafa Nadal and just to hug it out with him in Spain.
I don't know if that's
just
gonna happen in
Rafa,
Spain.
how you doing? I love you. Because he was actually I swear to God, my favorite athlete in the world.
Really?
I loved Roger Federer, but then when Rafa came, he just played with such a life or death passion. You could not tell if he was playing Wimbledon, the set that would win it, or he was playing some basic game in his backyard, because he knew one speed. It was all gas, no brakes, and I just respected him. And then when he beat Roger, he won his first Wimbledon when he was a teenager. And then when he fought against Roger, and he lost a lot against Roger, but his speech, his losing speech made me cry, because he was so articulate and so classy. It was like unbelievable. He taught me, like I was like a horrific loser. Like I either won or I hated you. And I coached that way in my life when I coached my children. I regret it to this day. I mean, I won most of every game I ever played, and I ran up the score, and the great kids on my team loved me, and the kids that weren't good only loved me because they wanted to swim in my pool, and I bought them toys, and I had, $25,000 parties on a Friday night for no reason after practice. So, but the parents hated me because I never played their kids. When I saw Rafa, he gave me a lot of, it really made me step back and go, that is how I should have handled myself. I wish I had, his just respect and his class. So I always wanted to go to Spain, first of all, to eat their food.
Yeah.
And then to hang out with Rafa.
If I was you and I was going back and forth between those two, Spain and Greece, just decide which one of the tapas you like more, Spanish tapas or Greece tapas, and that's your decision.
As far as the food.
Mm-hmm. Well, just in general. I think you can
okay.
base it on that trip, because you're going to see beautiful beaches in Spain, beautiful beaches in Greece, rich history in both places. But which one of the tapas do you like best?
Yeah, which cuisine, I guess.
I thought listen, Italy was incredible.
Yeah.
Until I went to France. There is nothing compared to the cheese board that comes out in France, and then the dessert board. It's like, it's like 10 feet by 12 feet. It's like 50 desserts, 50 cheeses. I was so blown away. Now, when I went to Italy, I mean, I had money. I mean, we went top of the line. But when I went to France in 1998, I had buco money. I had like $6 million in the bank. I had 220 people working for me. At the time, I was making like $1 million for a year, and I was blowing $1.5 million a year. So in France, we went to as expensive as a hotel as you could be, and as expensive as a restaurant you could be. I was blowing like $1,000 for lunch and $2,000 for dinner in 1998, which is real money. Equivalent to quadruple that now. I love that because I love cheeses. I love the cheese board. I love the whole presentation. I love how they take it so seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, we went to white glove service where after every meal, they would change the tablecloth. Where I was like, that's unbelievable. Because it bothers me because I'm a clean freak. And I'm a pig when I eat for some reason. Like I'm a fatso. So everything doesn't go in my mouth. It normally goes on my shirt.
Yep.
And then obviously, my wife would yell at me because she's embarrassed that it's like from the second I get there, the appetizer, it's on my shirt. It's just
my wife is the same exact way, Stu. As soon as we sit down, she's like, Jesus, Matthew, put a napkin down, you animal.
Right. I mean, she was embarrassed. But so when they changed the tablecloth and then they came out with that thing that they scrub all the crumbs away, I was like, I never saw this.
The first time you see that little food
the most
comb.
impressive thing ever. Because to me, to be honest with you, really, like even more importantly than winning money gambling or making people laugh or having sex, those three things would be my life in a nutshell. Going to a restaurant and eating top shelf food is above everything. Like that's heaven. That is, I would say I've spent literally like $5 million on taking people out to eat and having that experience. That's my game.
It is, yeah.
I'm living as large as possible.
I've
I
never
love-
regretted a really good meal.
no two ways about it.
Yeah.
When's the last time you went somewhere and didn't order an appetizer?
When I eat,
Yeah.
never.
Never. Your whole
I
life?
I go soup to nuts.
Okay.
I go the soup.
Soup to
I
nuts.
go the salad. I go 2-3 appetizers. I go my dinner with sides.
Mm-hmm.
I go dessert, and I'm drinking like 3-4 espressos. Like I'm soup to nuts.
Love it.
Like
Yeah.
always, everywhere I go. Never not. Like even when I order Chinese food.
Yep.
A normal $12 meal, I'm spending $70 on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just the way I have to get the soup, have to get the dumplings, have to get the spare ribs, have to get the egg rolls.
Have to get the crab rangoons.
The best.
Tony, what do you think the best culinary city you've ever been in?
Japan, just in general, for walking around and eating.
Yeah.
But a few last words on Greece. I think Greece is pretty pricey these days just because it's so touristy. But if you can ball out, they have some incredible hotels and resorts on the islands there with just beautiful views of the Aegean Sea. But if you want to save some money, you can go to Croatia, the Turkish coast, or Albania. And it's kind of Greek vibes, but for half the price.
I thought you were going to do an ad read just then.
No, that's just, I just did.
If you want a cheap travel, head
I
to
just did-
Kosovo.com.
So if I
That's
could,
an ad read for the Turkish coast.
if I could pose the question to you, what was the most beautiful or just satisfying experience you've ever been? Where would you say number one would be? I'm sure it's hard because you've been everywhere, a lot of places. But what would you say number one would be?
Yeah, that is putting me on the spot. Are you talking about food or just in general?
In general.
You know what? We've never talked about this on the pod. I went to a town in Spain called Ronda, and it's built on this big ravine. And I somehow got this like 3-bedroom apartment right on the ravine for maybe $90 a night or something.
Oh my gosh.
And it was beautiful. We like walked down to this little stream and went for a swim and then just walking around town. So Ronda, Spain, it's got a cute little bull ring in the middle of the town. Check it out. That was majestic.
Wow. And what about for you?
Probably there's this village in Okinawa, Japan, that whenever you go there, they give you these little pink balls and you jump off this cliff into the water and you just put this with the little ball in your hands, and hundreds and thousands of fish start surrounding you, and so it feels like you're in an aquarium. And then when you walk across the street, there's all these little huts that have fresh sushi that they caught that day, and so it feels like you're on a different planet. It feels like you're somewhere where you shouldn't be. It's just so beautiful and untouched.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, I would say the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my life would be St. Peter's Basilica. I mean, I don't think there's nothing that can compare to that.
Mm-hmm.
When I was there, we went 2 days back to back. We must have spent 10 hours a day because I went inch by inch because I respected, the glorious nature of it. I respected the history, and it was something I've never seen. I've never seen. But the places, just for me to chime in, would be in the United States. It would be Page, Arizona, which is absolutely breathtaking. When we went on jet skis, and there would be these amazing glacier caves, and the water was so blue. And I'm dating myself because we're talking about when we went was 1994, but it was the most beautiful place in the world.
Is that by Lake Havasu?
Excuse me?
Is it Lake Havasu near there?
I don't know the answer to that.
I've heard about that place though.
Yeah.
Is that in Page, Arizona? It's in Arizona, you
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Arizona, in general, is gorgeous. And then I would say equal would be the 7 sacred pools in Maui and Kauai. I would say those two
Wow.
islands
Page.
were phenomenal.
Yeah,
Where is Page? Right there?
Yeah.
Sam just
Right.
pulled-
So you see
pulled
what
it
I'm
up,
talking
yeah.
about. I mean,
Wow.
I thought I was in a Star Trek episode.
Yeah, it looks like a sci-fi movie.
Literally.
Yeah.
And when I went in 1994, I mean, I could have bought the whole town for $2 million. Now I can't. Now you can't buy a hut. You can't buy a 70 by 60 for under $1 million. So, I mean, like, but of course, you know, coulda, woulda, shouldas, and who knew? But people were saying that this was the spot that, you know, we hung out with like a real estate guy, and he goes, this is going to blow up. And, you know, at the time, I thought I would never run out of money and didn't matter. And then, of course, you know, when I went balls broke for 8 years from 1999 to 2007, you know, I regretted a lot of things I did. But that was a magnificent. If you've never been there, it is a, you know, unimaginable experience. First of all, the weather is perfect. The water is blue. At the time, 1994, of course, it's going back. What are we going 30 years ago, 30 more than that. The people were so nice, and everything was manageable. And we went with my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law and their 3 kids, and I went with me and Sandy and 2 kids. And she kept getting sick while we were driving through the mountains, and she was throwing up. And then, as it turned out, she was pregnant with my 3rd child.
Okay.
So she's like, you got to get me the fuck out of here. Go drive to Vegas right now. So we drove from Arizona. We canceled like half the trip. We drove to the MGM. I got like, you know, 2,000 square foot suites. You know, I lost like 75,000. What a disaster. Like it was $100,000 that I lost for no reason. But, you know, it was pretty funny.
You could have named that kid Paige.
Yeah. Well, on his birthday, it was Ryan.
Oh, it's a boy.
Exactly. On his birthday, he's Ryan Christopher. It's my 3rd child. I did not smoke pot. I put down all my drugs, everything. We came back from Italy. And the first thing my wife said was, we went 2 weeks to Italy and 2 weeks on an amazing cruise. And I got married at 197. I came back 227. I gained like almost 30 pounds in a month. And me and my wife, and I already owned I owned a house. I bought my house when I was 23. So the house that Sandy moved into, she stayed over for 5 years, but we moved into is a beautiful house. And the minute she got back, she goes, listen, let's not have kids. We're just going to tour the world. I'm like, let's go. P.S. Like 2 weeks later, she's pregnant.
Okay.
So she came to me, and I was a big, you know, cokehead and pothead. Big, you know, like in our office, all my salesmen were snorting coke, all my salesmen were smoking pot right in front of everybody, smoking cigarettes. It was ashtray on everybody's desk. You know, that was the aura. You know, we had a sales office where you're on the phone selling, and to be performative, you know, you needed either to smoke a cigarette or to drink liquor or to, you know, smoke marijuana or cocaine, whatever. It was right there. You know, we had my brother, may he rest his soul, he's been passed since 2006, was like in bed with these Colombians that we had kilos of Peruvian flake, the best, cut with 0. You know, you snorted 6 lines, you were up for 10 hours. You snorted an 8 ball, you were up for like 4 days, and you felt great. It was just, you know, it was, you know, the best of the best. But anyway, so she came to me and she said, listen, there's no way that I want my fucking husband to be a fucking drug addict. I don't want you stoned. I don't want you snorting coke. I don't want you drinking. So, you know, I said, all right, honey, what am I going to do? Okay, I've been going out with the girl for 10 years in a day, got married, you know, I'm not, you know, she owned me, and rightfully so, right? You know, when you know, if you're going to get married, your wife's number one. There is no, you know, and you listen to everything she pretty much says, you know, whether you like it or not. Or you
don't get to 15, 30.
Correct. Or you just, you know, you have a miserable life. You just don't. So I put everything down from 1988 cold turkey until 1995. I didn't have a hit of pot. I didn't have a drink. I had nothing. So my 3rd kid's born. And my friends come back from some ridiculous country and they go, we have this hash that's incredible. So I went to my wife. I said, listen, can we smoke some hash? She said yes. So I got so stoned. And then we took it a step further. Then they said, let's go to Atlantic City. So I said to my wife, can we go to Atlantic City? She's like, go to Atlantic City, no problem. So it was February 10th. He was born on the 10th. I rented a plane 2 blocks away from the airport, Republic Airport. It was me and my 2 best buddies. We flew to Atlantic City. I had 40 grand cash with me. My first bet was 200 on number 10, and it hits. We win 7,000. My next bet was 200 on every little number. Hits again. It hit 4 times in a row. Okay? I won like 90 grand. I gave my 2 friends $15,000 each, and we went right home. We were in the casino for literally 9 minutes. Went right home. I got my wife's engagement ring. I went to Manhattan, and my cousin, my first cousin, was on 47th and 7th in the Diamond District. I gave her the ring, and then I spent like whatever I made. It was like the ring, which was like a $25,000 ring. I gave her the 60 that I won, that I netted. And then I bought like this ridiculous ring that now my wife wears, this like $300,000 ring. So, what was my point of telling that story? Oh, so Ryan. So even though he cost me the $100,000 when she was throwing up, I got like a lot. I got it back.
Yeah,
because the ring is the only thing that I fucking ever made money on, because I never bought stocks. I never was able to save money in the bank. To this moment, I don't have a penny in the bank. I have my house. Thank you, God, my $17,400 a month fucking mortgage every month for the last 20 years. My last payment's in April. So at least I got a $2 million house paid.
That's
and
awesome,
I make $1 million a year. So that's my strength is I don't have no retirement. I got no money in the bank, but I still can make $1 million a year. And if I win, I can make like $2 million a year. So I got a business, whatever. But so my Ryan story is that I didn't actually lose money in the overall picture.
Well, there you go. Not being able to lose money is a great way to be cultured. You can go across the globe. Having money definitely helps with traveling for sure.
Yes.
Stu, thanks so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Honor. I love you guys so much. I love everything you do. I love your content. I respect you as much as I respect anybody in the fucking world. So
love to hear it.
Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for always being inclusive with me and taking your time to say hello to me.
We'll definitely have you back on for a full episode. This is just a segment.
Listen, anytime, any day, I'm available round the clock. It would be an honor.
Love it. Thank you, Stu.